Good morning, brothers and sisters. I wanted to jump on real quick. I'm going to try and keep this video shorter than most because I want to get out some important information right off the bat, so that those of you who don't have the full 10 minutes to watch the entirety, at least get the information at the beginning. So what we're going to talk about, we'll talk about last month. There were a couple of things that I did representing the state of Arizona. I want to make sure you know about those. And then I also want to talk about next month, which is what I'm going to talk about first because it is state conference, and I want to make sure that those of you who are attending know what's coming, and we're as bestly prepared as we possibly can. Bestly, is that a word? Anyway, state conference. We're 3.5 weeks away from Prescott. I cannot wait to see you guys. Some of you I haven't seen since conference, and I just can't wait to see you all again, and be in an environment of brotherhood and sisterhood. I always look forward to conference, whether it's state, national, even when I go to the national board meetings. Those are some of my favorite times being FOP. So, two of the biggest things I want to talk about for conference. Actually, just one. For me, one of our most important events that we do at conference is the start of business. Before business even starts, we have our memorial ceremony. For those of you who've been in the past, I believe it's a beautiful ceremony. Our auxiliary does an amazing job of putting this on, and it's important. I think it's important to start the conference that way. It puts us all in the right frame of mind to get the work of the state done, and remember that there is a reality to our business and our profession, and so I think it's important. And so what we need from you, as always, if you are an active duty officer, please, please, please bring your uniform. Wear your uniform in the morning, and help with the memorial walks and the setting of the flowers. I promise you we're going to give you plenty of time to change before we come back into the room and start conference. I promise you, we never have had enough uniforms, and I know that you're not going to get turned away. So please, please, if you are active duty, please bring your uniform and please participate in the ceremony. On top of that, if you're like me and you're bringing your spouse, whether they are members of the auxiliary or not, I don't care. My wife is going to participate this year. I know she's nervous but excited about that. She's kind of honored that even though she's not an auxiliary member because of her primary job at work, she doesn't have a lot of spare time. But she's definitely, she's coming to Prescott, so why not participate? So if you have a wife, mother, daughter, girlfriend, whoever it is that's coming, if they're willing to, they can get in touch with Brother Watts, just to so we know who's coming. But even the morning of is fine. Here's the catch: I need you to be in navy blue slacks with a white top, or some sort of navy blue formal outfit, right? Not jeans and a white T-shirt. That's not going to work, right? This is a formal memorial ceremony. So if you're able to do that, if your spouse is able to do that, whatever the case may be, if you're of the auxiliary type and you're willing to do that, we would love to have you, and we'll get you involved in the memorial ceremony, have you walk down as names are read. It's a big deal, and I think it's a great way to start conference, and we'd love to have all the help as possible. So moving on with that, remember we'll have our cornhole tournament. I'm still trying to finalize the detail of bringing the same amount of boards I brought 2 years ago. That's so far I've been ghosted. So we're going to see what happens here in the next couple of weeks before I really start freaking out about it. But we'll still have our cornhole tournament. We're going to run it pretty similar to last conference for those of you who were there. And then, of course, we'll have our banquet. And this year, I will not make the mistake that I made 2 years ago. We will have our ceremonial swearing in of the board at the banquet so that the families can be a part of that. I still apologize for that 2 years ago. I'm not sure where my brain was, but anyway, neither here nor there. We're going to get that fixed for this conference. Let's see. So moving forward, that's it for conference. So if that's all you needed to wanted to hear, you can pop off. I'll just touch on some things that I did last month. This month still, and then that'll be it. So first, I headed up to Phoenix. Lodge 32 had their monthly lodge meeting, and I was super stoked to get invited. and go up there and just be available for questions. It wasn't really anything other than that. I just wanted to be there and be part of their lodge, let them know that I am there for their lodge, as they've been there for me from day one. And so it was nice to get up there and at least show them that I do still exist outside of this little box on my laptop. So that was a very nice day. Unfortunately, right before I'd gone up there, we had heard the unfortunate news that Sister Linda Martinez from New Mexico had passed away. For those of you who don't know who Linda Martinez is, she was the acting secretary for the National Auxiliary. Not only was she that, she's been throughout her time, well over 20 years within the auxiliary. She's served in multiple roles locally and nationally. She's a massive part of Police Week. It was just a crushing loss. I had just sat with Linda and Bob while I was in San Diego. We sat for a couple of hours and chatted, and to hear about her passing was tough. So I immediately booked the hotel for Albuquerque, and then unfortunately up in Scottsdale we lost Detective So in a line of duty death, and they announced his funeral, and it was not just the same day as Miss Martinez's, but it was the same exact time. So I wasn't able to attend the funeral in Scottsdale because I was at the service in Albuquerque. So I apologize to my Scottsdale brothers. I'd already sent a text to Keegan, their lodge president, let them know anything he needed, I'd be happy to help. And then I also let him know that I was not going to be able to attend the service, which is tough for me. Like there are very few line of duty death funerals that I miss, and this one the timing just didn't work out. So again, I apologize, brothers and sisters. I promise you I would have been there had it not been for Linda's passing. So after that, lo and behold, the Department of Justice comes out with their carbon copy and paste report that they have come out with every time they investigate any police department anywhere in the country. Like I seriously, I do want to explain my thought process on my response to this. I know there were some other organizations that got out quicker than Arizona FOP did. They kind of came out with their rubber stamped statements, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come home. I was in the middle of going and getting my shingles shot. If you're over 50, go get that. But anyways, I was at the doctor's office, and when I got home, the first thing I did was pulled up the entirety of the report, and I read all 126 pages of it. I wasn't going to just throw out a blanket statement. I wanted to read and write up a response. I had my notebook next to me, and I was taking notes as I read through this horrendous report. And as soon as I finished reading the report, I immediately started punching out my response as state president. So as I'm finishing up the report, I get a phone call from Brother Pasco, from our national legislative office in D.C., and he tells me that the Assistant Attorney General wants to speak to me. And I said, absolutely, give her my number. Of course, when I hung up with Jim Pasco, I was like, yeah, right, this lady's not going to call me. And I finish up my write-up. I sent it to Jim Pasco. I sent it to our national president and our national vice president just to make sure I wasn't creating too many waves. And of course, I sent it to Dave Leibowitz so that he could go in and change some of my Marine Corps cop verbiage and change it into verbiage that was, it's just a little bit cleaner. He didn't change anything. The message is mine, I assure you. I can show you the rough draft versus the final copy. But yeah, we did make sure that it read a little bit better than how I did it. And as soon as I hit send on that, as I was about to hit send on that email, my phone rang. Another Washington, D.C. number. As you guys know, my sister's in D.C. I know many of her staff call me, not frequently, but when they do, it's a D.C. number, and I always answer it. So I answered the phone, and sure enough, it was the Assistant Attorney General. And I'll be honest with you guys, I let her talk. She told me how much she supports law enforcement and how much she appreciates the work that you all do and that we all have done, those of us who are retired. And I did not hold back any punches. I basically went down my bullet point list of the notes that I had taken, and I don't want to say I chewed her out, but I just pointed out the disappointment that I had that you bring up 147 shootings and you nitpick 7 of them, which is less than 5% over a 4-year time frame, and you're trying to say that that's proof of an epidemic, which is just, as you all know, I'm preaching to the choir here. It just doesn't make sense, and I didn't appreciate the report. I still don't appreciate the report, and so I told her I listed it all out and I put it all out there, and I will give her credit where credit is due. She listened to every word I said. She didn't argue. She definitely could see how we as law enforcement were perceiving that report. And my favorite part of it was she agreed to save my phone number. I agreed to save hers. She said it's her direct line, and she said that let's let the dust settle a little bit, and then we're gonna come back around and chat about it again. I'm gonna give her probably till Wednesday or Thursday to call me, and if I don't get a phone call, I am gonna call her and discuss this a little bit more, because I don't. If I was looking at being in law enforcement, or if I was at the Phoenix Police Department, I'm not sure. I would have to reconsider. Like, we're getting attacked that badly for some nitpicked, hand-picked little cases out of years of policing. It's one of the worst DOJ reports I've ever read, and so I wanted to make sure that I put out a thorough response to the Department of Justice report. If you haven't seen it, it is on our Facebook. I haven't put anything else above it. It's sitting there ready to be read. And I did receive many, many positive responses from you guys, the membership, and I appreciate that because for those of you who've never been in a position of president, I've done it several times locally, and I've done it a couple times on the state level where we've had to come out with some sort of response. You're always nervous. You never know exactly. You think you know how that message is going to come across and how it's going to be received, but until you actually start getting responses, you don't really know. So I really do. I always appreciate the feedback, and the feedback on this one was good. And we're going to keep working. We're going to keep working towards the goal of keeping the Department of Justice out of our background, out of our backyards, and keeping Arizona policing moving in the direction that I know it's always been in. I've always found that our policing is on a level that's different than a lot of other agencies that I've had the opportunity to work with over the decades of being in law enforcement. So, brothers and sisters in Phoenix, I hope you enjoyed the responses, and I hope you keep the line. Not one thing in that report do I find to be anything that suggests any of you are doing anything wrong. And I've worked with you guys many, many times over the years, and I've always thought of you as a professional agency with wonderful people who are doing the Lord's work, and you're doing it to the best of your ability. And I hope that you guys continue to lead the way and continue to serve the community because we need you. I may not live in Phoenix, but I do go to Phoenix frequently, and I need you there. So please don't let that report reflect on you in any way, shape, or form, and just keep doing the work you're doing. And with that, I will let you all go. I kind of went over a little bit. I mean, shouldn't have talked about that DOJ report. I knew it was going to take me into the weeds, and that's how infuriating the whole thing is. Anyway, I promise I'm going to let you go. I've got a lot to do today, so I am going to head out the door here momentarily. Brothers and sisters, thank you all for your support over the years. I look forward to seeing you next month, and God willing and my membership willing, I will be serving you for another 2 years, and I look forward to that opportunity, and I look forward to continuing to progress the Fraternal Order of Police here in Arizona forward. And with that, I will see you guys next month. And there will not be a video next month because obviously a state conference. I may change my mind on that. I don't know. We'll see. But maybe I'll do one in Prescott. How about that? Let's do that towards the end of conference. Anyway, all right. I promise. I'm letting you guys go. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and stay FOP strong. And have a wonderful day.